By now, you know it was a deadly holiday weekend on Israel's highways. 7 people lost their lives. But out of tragedy sometimes emerges hope. The new year saw 8 people being given a new chance for life after the families of 2 earlier traffic victims donated the organs of their loved ones. The organs of a 37-year-old man helped save the lives of 5 people, and the organs of a 40-year-old East Jerusalem woman killed in a car crash near Ein Gedi were donated to 3 additional recipients.
And joining us now in the studio to discuss the issue of organ donations is Robbie Berman, founder and director of the Halakhic Organ Donor Society. Robbie, welcome back again. You've been working very hard for several years since you founded the Halakhic Organ Donor Society, and yet there still seems to be a little misunderstanding among the religiously observant community especially as to whether or not it is permissible by Jewish religious law to donate organs.
Right. I think there's 2 main facts that inhibit Jews from donating organs. The first one is many Jews believe in a resurrection of the dead, and that's a tenet of Jewish faith. But many Jews, unfortunately, also believe that you need to be buried with your organs in order to be resurrected. That's nonsense. There's no source for that in any Jewish classical literature. Your organs disintegrate in the ground. And the one source in the Bible which talks about a mini resurrection of the dead in the book of Ezekiel talks about the resurrection of the dry bones. It doesn't talk about the resurrection of the dry bones, the pancreas, and the liver. It only talks about the resurrection of the dry bones. The other issue has to do with brain death. That people still do not understand the difference between brain death and coma. Ariel Sharon is in a coma. He's not brain dead. People who are brain dead do not come back to life. And so, unfortunately, you have a lot of people, even secular Jews, secular Israelis, that pray to God for a miracle. No one in the history of the world has ever woken up from brain death. The brain begins to undergo a process called lysis, where the cells begin to melt, and there is no such thing as, quote-unquote, waking up from brain death. And if people could get that into their heads, so to speak, no pun intended, I think people would be more willing to donate organs.
So, Robbie, there are no issues of legality as far as donating organs here in Israel?
Well, you know, people who have an ID organ donor card, even if it's a document, even if it's considered a legal document, which it might be, it's debatable, the hospitals will not recover organs until the whole family agrees. So if you have one member of the family, if you don't have what we call in the industry the conversation with your family, then they won't take the organs. And that's unfortunate because you could have many people in the family that want to donate the organs. You could have a person who has an ID organ donor card, but if one member says no way, then that ruins the whole donation.
That was my next question to you, is now is the time for people to talk about this and to make the decision to donate their organs if, God forbid, something should happen to them or one of their loved ones, not at the time of a tragic accident.
In addition to which, that most people go to the rabbi to ask them if the chicken is kosher, you know, when you have time to discuss the issue. When someone, God forbid, is brain dead in the hospital, you only have a few hours, maybe a few days. You need to learn, as you said, you need to learn about the issue now, you need to make your decision now, and you need to let your family know what your wishes are now, so if, God forbid, ever comes to that, you could save one card, could save 8 other people's lives.
Is your organization trying to enact any sort of legislation? I mean, in America, you can go to your motor vehicle registration. When you get your driver's license, they ask you, put a little check on the back. If something, God forbid, happens, you can donate your organs. Is your organization advocating anything like this option?
No, I really don't believe in this issue. There are countries in Europe which have opt-out, which means it's assumed everyone wants to donate an organ unless you sign the card that says you don't want to. I believe that's a bad policy. I know it's working in a couple of countries in Europe. I don't think it's good policy. I think it's bad policy here in Israel. I think people are skeptical enough of the medical establishment, scared enough. I know one case in Petach Teva where a religious family stole the corpse out of the hospital because they were afraid the hospital were going to do some kind of post-mortem on the corpse. I think we'd rather do it through education and through persuasion rather than coercion.
Robbie Berman, thank you very much for joining us today and telling us about this issue.
You're welcome.
Thank you.